What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Adventures of Zach. Today we're going to go over a few things with you guys that I think aren't mandatory. They're mandatory for me, not mandatory for everybody, and this doesn't work just for the 250, CRF250. This is for any dual sport. Just remember that this is just my recommendations, what is mandatory for me and not mandatory for everybody. So pick and choose what you want. But these are 5 things that I definitely recommend for any dual sport. I'm going to keep this really short and keep this really sweet. First things first, get yourself a nice proper cup of tea. That's some good stuff. All right, so first things first. Everybody knows, anybody who rides off-road have to get a pair of Barkbusters. I mean, you have to have a pair of Barkbusters. I don't really care what brand you go with. These are Stom Barkbusters. Really good, really high quality. They're really lightweight. Got to have a nice set of Barkbusters though. So that's my number 1 on the list. All right, so number 2 on my list is an Aftermarket Tank. Okay, again, mandatory for me, not mandatory for everybody. This is the IMS 3.5 gallon. OEM tank is 2 gallon. So you gain 1.5 gallons of gas. And apparently, when I was looking into this is apparently even lighter with the additional gallon of gas than the OEM tank, because the OEM tanks are steel. So the OEM tanks are pretty darn heavy with the 2 gallons of gas. This is a much, stuff's good. I've went down, I'm going to make a crash compilation video, but you'll guys see I've went down a crap ton of times. There's nothing wrong with this tank. It's amazing. Bolts right up, fits like a glove. I can ride for days on end. I can probably get 3 full days worth of riding done, and at about between 6 to 8 hours a day of riding if I fill this tank all the way up to the brim. And I can get, like I said, pretty much probably 3 full days of riding. I get 300 plus miles to a tank on this. That's with everything stocked the way it is. So I stated before in one of my comments, and I will do it for you guys when I'm able to get back outside, I'm going to do a trip meter on this thing one day. And I'm going to ride this thing, fill it to the brim. I'm going to put a trip meter on it, and I'm going to ride this thing to where it's, pretty much empty, to where I can visually see that it's pretty much empty by looking into the tank. I'm not going to run it out of fuel, but just to give you guys a good idea of the actual metered range of what this tank will get you. Number 3 on my list is going to be a skid plate. So I don't care what skid plate you guys get. This is actually the Acerbis. I forget. It's like a plastic nylon. It's holding up pretty well. I've probably got 2,000 plus miles on it now of off-road riding on that skid plate. And I've been through severe rocky terrain. I took it to AOAA, which is nothing but rocks. One of the places that we ride locally has got rocks that are 2+ foot tall sticking in the middle of the trail system. It's holding up really well. I'm liking it a lot. So we'll see how long this lasts. Probably going to upgrade to a flatland racing once this is said and done. Maybe, we'll see. I got that thing for like $60 on sale. I think it was from, I'd like to say I got that from Rocky Mountain, not from Revzilla. Yeah, I got that from Rocky Mountain. Revzilla doesn't have the Acerbis skid plate. Rocky Mountain has the Acerbis skid plate. It was like $63. So, I mean, you can't beat that price. So that's definitely my number 3 on the list. These are not in any specific order. I'm not saying number 1 is more priority than number 5. Just doing them in order. But this is highly recommended to have if you do any off-road riding. All right, so number 4 on my list. Aftermarket foot pegs, man. I'm running the lower profile screws right this second. The kit that I got, Fastway Evo 4 pegs, is what I have. The kit that came with these has much larger threads. I'm not having any problems with these, minimal threaded. I guess you could call these, this is like the tread, like some pegs, it's built into the peg. I like the fact that these aren't, because these can be replaced. You can make them taller, you can make them shorter. I left them the way they are because this is really good for road riding. Even though with boots, you don't feel your pegs anyways. You don't feel the tread on the peg. You don't feel the spikes per se. And these give me amazing off-road grip, They give me good stability off-road when you're standing up, sitting down, things like that. So again, that is a mandatory for me because OEM pegs are always crap. These things are amazing. I know they're expensive. You don't have to have the Fastway Evos or the Fastway foot pegs. Most aftermarket foot pegs, though, are expensive. It's not just those. Most aftermarket foot pegs are expensive. These things are amazing, though. They're really wide. I love them. Last but not least, number 5 on this list is going to be, for me, an aftermarket seat. OEM seats are always utter garbage. They're utter shit. Aftermarket seats are always great. You know, much more comfortable than the OEM seats. Gotta have an aftermarket seat, man. It saves your ass. The gripper tops are amazing off-road. OEM seat covers are real slick. I mean, you guys all know it's like you're on a sheet of ice when you're back in the woods if you get any type of mud on you. And as you see in my videos, we get a lot of mud on us. Aftermarket seat. Gotta have an aftermarket seat for me. All right, so I figured I'd throw a couple other extra things in here. Outside the mandatory mods for me to have, 5 mandatory mods for me to have. This is just gonna be real quick as well. Grips, aftermarket grips. I've got the Oxford heated grips. Things are amazing. If you're looking at getting them, get them. I've mentioned them a million times in all my videos. Absolutely amazing. Well worth the price. I love the fact that they're thicker than other grips as well, because the thicker grips to me feel like they absorb more of the vibration, things of that nature off-road. I just like the thicker grips. I feel like I can just hold the bar much better. A thin grip on the metal bar just feels like you're holding onto a bare bar. It doesn't feel so good. Things are amazing. Another thing I highly recommend to have, this is also kind of like a safety feature, because it could save your ass in the bush if something happens and you're miles deep in the woods, is a charger. I've got the dual port. This is from CRF's only. I think it was like 60 bucks. It's amazing though, and you really should have something like this because if you notice, mine actually runs 24/7. Long story short, does not drain my battery. There's no problems with it. My bike has sat for 30 days back in fall, I think what it was, and it didn't start the bike, didn't do nothing, pulled the bike outside, boom, fired right up, no problem. That does run 24/7, but if you check it with a meter, it draws literally little to no power whatsoever. It's so minuscule, but you should definitely have one because if you're deep in the woods, you have an emergency situation, you can charge your devices, your cell phone, you could charge GPS, you could charge whatever from that thing with the bike not even on. So even if the bike wasn't running, you wreck the bike, as long as the battery and the cables are still on, that light is blue, you could charge whatever you got. So even if the bike's not running, you could still charge all your stuff. It's awesome. Highly recommend that. That's pretty much it. That's the 5 mandatory mods for me, with a couple other extras in there for you guys. So other than that though, guys, that's it for this video, man. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. I got a couple other videos coming up, gear related, and I've got some surprises coming in for the bike for you guys. That's it. Peace.